Now on Bloomberg Intelligence, Munis in Focus.
All right, today's Focus on Munis is brought to you by BAM Mutual. BAM Mutual insures municipal bonds that finance essential infrastructure and provides guaranteed income to improve any portfolio. Learn more about municipal bond credit quality. Visit bambonds.com.
Bam.
Bam. There you go. I have to start with this one, being the proud New Jerseyan that I am. Danielle Moran joins us, municipal finance reporter for Bloomberg News. She joins us here in our studio. New Jersey College to merge with state school to avoid closure. What's going on there?
I am also
Is
proud.
Princeton merging with Rutgers?
No, that would be exciting though.
That'd be something.
We'd have that in the
That'd be
headline.
really good for Princeton.
I too am a proud New Jerseyan, so I was also excited about this story. But yeah, this week the Board of Trustees for New Jersey City University, which is like right across the river in Jersey City, approved the pursuit of a merger with Kane, which is based in Union.
First, Kane or Keene? Where are we now?
I say Kane. Is that
No,
correct?
it's just the family has had pronouncements on this in the past. It's gone back and forth.
Okay.
I think you're right. It's Kane. It could be
Okay.
Keene, but it could be Kane.
Now,
it's a Jersey
The
thing.
town of Keansburg was named for the Kane family because the Senator Kane, the old guy,
Yep.
he got them their first post office. And I say Keansburg, and I know Tom Keene, and I call him Tom Keene.
But there was a
former
movement, and we're getting way off script here. But anyway, we'll go with it. So all right,
Whatever.
they're merging.
Yes, they're poised to merge.
Okay,
so
okay.
this will kickstart a process. I think there's going to be a letter of intent signed before the end of March, and this will just start a review essentially. But we've seen this prop up amongst like smaller colleges around the country, these mergers, because the economics of higher education are really tough right now. There's a declining number of prospective students. The birth rate fell off in 2007, 2008, and now those kids are starting to go to college, which is causing some problems for some schools. But what's interesting about this situation is that New Jersey City University is a public school. It's not private, and we've seen a lot of the issues in the private space. But that just shows that some of the economics that are happening across the sector sort of transcend the public-private debate. And this is a way for them to improve their financial situation. And it gives Kane a campus in Jersey City, which is close to New York. And they're excited about that possibility as well.
It really feels like we're going to see like a wave of college closures, aren't we? Like in a big, big way, like across the board, like those smaller, independent, insanely expensive schools.
Yeah, there was a really interesting paper out of the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia earlier this year that talked about this wave of college closures that's expected. And I mean, the economics are just getting more difficult, and schools are finding different ways to stay afloat. Merging is one of them. Selling off assets is another. Finding a niche, like whether they're focused on the arts or STEM, is another thing that we're seeing coming across the space.
It's always been a haves and have-nots based upon your endowment or lack thereof. And I think it's just becoming even more and more and more pronounced. You see these big universities have multi-billion-dollar capital raises for their endowment. At the same time, we're seeing these smaller schools, liberal arts schools. So it's just kind of getting, I think, a little bit more disparate. New York City finances are sinking with key gauge default to 11-year low. What's going on with New York City? I'm paying my taxes.
Yeah, New York City's Independent Budget Office follows this sort of technical but really key metric called the operating surplus as a percentage of tax revenue. So they look at this number, and it is projected to fall to 4.8% at the end of this fiscal year, which is the lowest percentage since 2014. So no one is saying that New York is on some dire financial footing, because it's not. Tax revenue is coming in strong. Wall Street's performing really well, which is good for the city. But it is an indicator that there's just higher expenses and some overspending that needs to be taken care of. So we're seeing a similar trend actually happening in LA as well. My colleague Max Adler had a story out about LA revenue this week that said that they're estimating revenue to come in about $140 million lower than projected, which is accelerating a budget deficit. So we're starting to see these little pockets of stress happening in cities, and all of this is coming as a backdrop of these cities are expecting less financial aid from the federal government under a new administration. So they're preparing for that and starting to make some tough choices.
Okay, so this is like a preventative may not be the best word, but preemptive maybe versus actual, this is the economy today, this is why we're making the decisions?
It's projections. It's something that they're expecting going forward, and starting to, as budget negotiations kick off, most cities and states have a July 1st fiscal year. They're trying to get ahead of it.
What winds up happening, if I can jump in?
It's Munis. You jump in anytime you want.
I jump in with Munis.
Yes.
I haven't talked to Munis about like a couple weeks at this point. What happens if the congestion price goes away here in New York. Like, are you guys talking about that at all?
Definitely. That's a really big issue for the MTA. Everyone who rides the subways, the buses in New York City is familiar with the MTA and knows that it has a very long list of capital improvements. So congestion pricing was aimed to raise money to fix infrastructure and to reduce traffic, but the money that raised is going towards infrastructure development. If that money goes away, if the program is halted, there's going to be a gap, about $15 billion in the MTA's infrastructure budget that they're going to have to figure out a way to fill. That could come from the state. It could come from other revenue-raising measures, but it's a very big chunk of money, and projects depend on that. The Second Avenue subway up here, extending to Harlem, is a project that is dependent on congestion pricing revenue. So they either need to find the money or they need to scale back the projects.
Interesting. All right, Danielle, thank you so much for joining us. Danielle Moran, municipal finance reporter for Bloomberg News, joining us live here in our interactive broker studio.